Most people spend their entire lives trying to become someone else. They look around at others who seem more confident, more successful, more aligned, and they think transformation means copying what they see. But what if I told you that the version of yourself you've been searching for has been with you all along? What if the struggle isn't about adding more to who you are, but about removing the layers that have been covering up your authentic self? Think about the moments when you felt most alive, most like yourself. Those weren't accidents. They weren't lucky breaks or random bursts of inspiration. They were glimpses of the person you were always meant to be, breaking through the noise of expectations, fears, and borrowed beliefs that have been drowning out your true voice. And if you pay attention, those moments are becoming more frequent now. There's a reason you found this message today. It's not coincidence that you're feeling restless with routines that used to satisfy you, or that conversations that once felt meaningful now leave you empty. It's not random that you're questioning choices you made years ago, or feeling pulled toward paths that don't make logical sense to the people around you. These aren't signs that you're lost or confused. They're signals that you're waking up to who you really are. Your authentic self has been sending you messages for years, through the dreams that refuse to fade, the ideas that keep circling back no matter how many times you dismiss them, the relationships that drain your energy, and the ones that light you up from the inside, through the activities that make time disappear, and the ones that feel like walking through mud. Your true nature has been communicating with you constantly, but most of us have been too busy trying to be who we thought we should be to listen. Here's what happens when you start paying attention to those signals. At first, it feels uncomfortable because your current life doesn't match what your inner compass is pointing toward. You might notice that the job you worked so hard to get doesn't excite you anymore. The social circle you've maintained for years suddenly feels superficial. The goals you've been chasing start to feel like someone else's dreams that you accidentally picked up and carried as your own. This discomfort isn't a problem to solve. It's information. It's your system telling you that you've outgrown the container you've been living in. Like a plant that's been thriving in a small pot suddenly finding its roots cramped and twisted. You're feeling the pressure of expansion. The pot isn't broken, and neither are you. You've simply grown beyond what once contained you perfectly. But here's where most people make a critical mistake. When they feel this pressure, this sense that something needs to change, they look outside themselves for the solution. They think they need a new career, a new relationship, a new city, a new hobby. They believe transformation comes from rearranging the external pieces of their life. And while sometimes external changes are necessary, they're not the source of the shift you're feeling. The transformation happening within you isn't about becoming someone different. It's about becoming more yourself than you've ever been before. It's about peeling back the layers of conditioning, expectation, and fear that have been covering up your natural way of being in the world. Think of it like an artist who's been painting over a masterpiece for years, adding layer after layer of paint based on what they thought the painting should look like. The transformation isn't about creating something new. It's about carefully removing those layers until the original work of art is revealed. Your authentic self isn't hiding in some future version of your life. It's not waiting for you to achieve certain goals or overcome specific fears or develop particular skills. It's present right now, in this moment, expressing itself through your preferences, your instincts, your natural responses to life. The person you were always meant to be isn't a destination. It's the energy that's been driving you forward all along. Notice how certain environments make you feel more like yourself, while others drain your vitality. Pay attention to which conversations energize you and which ones leave you feeling empty. Observe what activities make you lose track of time and what tasks feel like you're swimming upstream. These aren't random preferences. They're breadcrumbs leading you back to your authentic nature. The people in your life are also reflecting this transformation back to you, even if you haven't consciously acknowledged it yet. Some relationships are becoming more meaningful, deeper, more honest. Others are feeling strained or artificial. This isn't because you're becoming difficult or picky. It's because your energy is shifting, and like attracts like. As you become more aligned with who you really are, you naturally attract people and situations that match that frequency. But this process isn't always smooth or comfortable. Your authentic self doesn't emerge on a predictable timeline with clear milestones and obvious next steps. It unfolds organically, sometimes in rushes of clarity and sometimes in subtle shifts that you don't notice until you look back months later. There are days when you feel crystal clear about who you are and where you're going, and days when everything feels uncertain and confusing. This uncertainty isn't evidence that you're on the wrong path. It's proof that you're on the right one. When you're becoming more yourself, you're necessarily leaving behind versions of yourself that no longer fit. And that process of letting go, even when what you're releasing has become limiting or painful, can feel like loss. Your system mourns the familiar even when the familiar wasn't serving you. The person you're becoming has been waiting patiently for you to create space for them to emerge. They've been speaking to you through your dissatisfaction with settling, your resistance to compromising your values, your inability to pretend enthusiasm for things that don't align with your truth. They've been present in every moment when you chose authenticity over approval, growth over comfort, truth over convenience. And now, something is shifting. The space between who you've been and who you're becoming is narrowing. The voice of your authentic self is getting louder, while the noise of borrowed expectations grows quieter. The resistance you've been feeling isn't your enemy. It's actually the final defense mechanism of a version of yourself that knows its time is ending. Like an old computer program trying to run on updated hardware, the patterns and beliefs that once defined you are starting to glitch and malfunction. They're not breaking down because something is wrong with you. They're dissolving because they can no longer contain the expanded version of who you're becoming. You might notice this happening in unexpected ways. Maybe you used to seek validation from certain people, but their opinions suddenly carry less weight. Perhaps you've been avoiding risks your entire life, but now safe choices feel more dangerous than bold ones. The things that used to motivate you might feel hollow, while opportunities you never considered before spark something electric inside you. This isn't random. Your internal navigation system is recalibrating itself. For years, you've been using outdated maps to navigate your life, following routes that were drawn by other people's expectations and fears. But your authentic self operates with a different kind of compass, one that points toward what genuinely serves your growth and fulfillment, rather than what looks impressive from the outside. The most profound shifts often happen in the quiet moments between your thoughts. When you're driving and suddenly realize you feel different, though you can't pinpoint exactly what changed. When you're having a conversation and hear yourself saying something you've never said before, expressing a perspective that feels both surprising and completely true. When you make a decision that doesn't make logical sense but feels absolutely right in your bones. These moments are glimpses of your authentic self breaking through the surface. They're not flukes or temporary states of inspiration. They're previews of who you're becoming when you stop trying to force yourself into shapes that were never meant to fit you. Each time this happens, the gap between your conditioned responses and your natural instincts narrows a little more. But here's what makes this process particularly intense. As you become more aligned with your true nature, the world around you starts responding differently. Opportunities that match your authentic frequency begin appearing. People who resonate with the real you start showing up in unexpected ways. Situations that support your genuine growth present themselves just when you're ready for them. This isn't wishful thinking or manifestation magic. It's the natural result of living from a place of authenticity. When you stop broadcasting mixed signals, when your actions align with your inner truth, when you're no longer split between who you are and who you think you should be, your entire energy field shifts, and energy always attracts its match. The challenge is learning to trust this process when it doesn't unfold according to your timeline or expectations. Your authentic self doesn't emerge in neat, organized phases. It doesn't follow the self-improvement formulas or transformation blueprints that promise linear progress. Instead, it spirals upward, sometimes circling back to revisit old patterns from a higher perspective, sometimes leaping forward in ways that leave your logical mind scrambling to catch up. There will be days when you feel like you're regressing, when old fears surface with renewed intensity, or familiar doubts seem louder than ever. These aren't setbacks, they're integration phases. Your system is processing the gap between who you've been and who you're becoming, working to bridge the space between your old identity and your emerging truth. Think of it like renovating a house while you're still living in it. Some days you can see the beautiful potential taking shape. Other days, everything feels torn apart and chaotic. But the demolition isn't destruction, it's making room for something more spacious, more aligned with how you actually want to live. Your relationships are becoming mirrors for this transformation. The connections that celebrate your authentic expression grow stronger and deeper. The ones that require you to diminish yourself or play a smaller version of who you are naturally begin to fade. This isn't because you're being selective or difficult. It's because your energy is becoming more coherent, more genuinely you, and that naturally attracts resonance while repelling what doesn't match. Even your daily routines are shifting to support the person you're becoming. You might find yourself waking up earlier without an alarm, drawn to activities that nourish rather than numb you. The foods that appeal to you change. The media you consume evolves. The environments that feel good to you shift. These aren't conscious decisions you're making. They're organic adjustments your system is making to align your external life with your internal transformation. The most remarkable part of this process is how effortless it becomes once you stop fighting it. When you release the need to control exactly how your authentic self emerges and instead focus on creating space for that emergence, everything flows more naturally. The struggle dissolves, replaced by a sense of coming home to yourself. You're not becoming someone new. You're remembering who you were before the world convinced you to be someone else. You're returning to the essence that was there before you learned to doubt it, before you covered it up with strategies for survival and approval. The person you were always meant to be isn't a future project. They're a present reality waiting to be fully expressed. And that expression is beginning to accelerate now, gathering momentum like water finally breaking through a dam that's held it back for too long. The transformation you've been sensing isn't something you need to achieve or earn. It's something you need to allow. Every moment of discomfort, every surge of restlessness, every time you felt like you don't quite fit where you used to, has been preparing you for this emergence. The person you were always meant to be isn't waiting in some distant tomorrow. They're pressing against the edges of your awareness right now, ready to step fully into the light. Stop trying to figure it all out. Stop analyzing every shift and questioning every instinct. Your authentic self doesn't need your permission to emerge, but it does need your trust. Trust the process that's already unfolding within you. Trust the signals you've been receiving. Trust that the restlessness you feel isn't a problem to solve, but an invitation to expand. You found this message because you're ready to stop performing a version of yourself that no longer fits, ready to release the need for everyone to understand your choices, ready to live from the place inside you that has always known exactly who you are, even when your mind couldn't see it clearly. The person you were always meant to be is here now. They've been here all along, waiting patiently for this moment when you finally stop resisting and let them breathe. And once you do, everything else will begin to align around that truth. The life you've been searching for will start building itself around the authentic you that's ready to be seen.